Hey gents, Rod coming at you again in another vlog. In this one we're going to discuss about why men go broke. And I know a lot about this subject in helping a lot of my business clients over my 25 plus year career in finance. There's a couple of things that I have been able to recognize in these men that took them from making, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, tens of thousands, to millions of dollars and tens of millions of dollars a year to absolutely broke in a short time, because they did these things that every man should not do. I'm going to share with them with you in this video right now, because I believe that you need to avoid these mistakes at all costs so that you can literally level up and make as much money as possible and live the life that you want for you and the ones that you love. So without that being said, let's get right into it, because I don't like to mess around. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of everything. The first thing that I've seen in the men that I've worked with that have gone broke is that they spend what they make or even more. And so, for example, if someone made $10,000 a month, they would spend 15, 17. And you say, how is that possible? Well, you have overdraft protection for one. And two, they would put it on their credit cards. Or they'd have, lines of credit, whatever, and they would spend. And they think that all that money is available, when in actuality, it's not. If you make 10,000, you should not be spending 10,000, okay? First, you have to figure out what your expenses are every month, right? Your rent, your utilities, your cell phone bills, your car payments, your insurance, all that stuff, right? So let's say that your entire debt every month is $3,000, right? And you make $10,000, okay? The men that don't go broke pay that $3,000. They have an additional $7,000 available, and what they do is they pay themselves anywhere from 10 to 20%. So 20% of 10,000 is 2,000. So 3,000 for their expenses, another 2,000 they put aside, they pay themselves. That's $5,000, and so they've got an additional $5,000 that is available there for them to run their business and do the things they need to do and live. And so they don't necessarily spend that $5,000. They actually use it to generate more revenue, or they actually save some of that money. So again, you have to know what your debt is first, and that's just understanding what money, how to manage money, how to manage your debt, how much you make. It's basically budgeting, right? And so in that, I actually did in the previous video, if you didn't see it, $1 million, can I quit my job today, in the card above. You could check that video out, but it really just explains about how far the dollar goes. And so guys who spend more than they make, or just as much as they make, that's a recipe for disaster. You're asking to go broke, and that's just the way that it always ends up. And it's never ended up where the person hasn't gone broke. Never. Or filed bankruptcy or lost it all. Okay. Number two, they buy things of no value. And what I mean by that is like, when someone comes into money, let's say, for example, again, you make, $2,000 a month, right? That's your salary. And you come into $50,000, $100,000, someone dies, and, you inherit some money. And all of a sudden you think, oh God, I'm rich. I'm gonna go on holiday. They spend money on a $10,000 holiday, vacation in Hawaii, or they go to Europe. Well, I've never been to Paris. That was 20 grand. And you had $50,000. And then you come home, you're like, you know what? I've always wanted that 8K flat screen television, and it's $10,000 right now. I'm gonna get that too. I've been wanting these Jordans for the longest time, the old school XYZ edition, and that's $700 for those pair of sneakers. And then also, you know what? I've always wanted an Xbox and a PS7 at the time, let's say PS6, PS10, PlayStation, right? So you get both of those, $600 a piece, that's $1,200. And before you know it, all that money's gone. And you didn't manage it properly, and you bought things of no value. You go buy a car, car's the worst thing you can purchase. Unless you're using it for business, like Uber or Turo, or you're writing it off because you make so much money in your business, then that's a different story. But if you're just going to get it because you just came into all this money, and I've always wanted to own a BMW, I've always wanted to drive Mercedes, I've always wanted to have a Land Rover, I've always wanted to drive a Maserati and look cool to all my friends and all the cute girls and get the hotties, then you're an idiot, because it depreciates 30-something% the minute you drive it off the parking lot, the dealership. So you're not getting your money back. Sorry, I don't care what you say. You could turn around and sell it the very next day, you're not getting full price. Not going to happen. Okay, so men do that for the most part, and I'm not saying women don't do it too, but I can say on the average, the majority, that women are better savers than men, because men, we tend to go and provide and work and make the living, and then women stay home so they don't work all the time. At least the stay-at-home mothers I know don't work, so they have to make do with the money that's coming in for both people. So one income is supporting an entire family, right? So women for the most part are better savers than men, and men, we just tend to make, and then we basically get the things that we want when we want it, because we work so hard. We say, hey, I work so hard, I want it, right? And we have no discipline in that sense. And so I would say probably in the range of like, in my entire career of working with very successful men, businessmen and women, it's right around 90-95% of men are terrible and spend and buy things of no value, jewelry, right, clothing, just things that you really, they don't appreciate in value. If it's not appreciating in value, it's a waste of your time, unless it's absolutely necessary, right? If your business is like, say, running, I don't know, Lyft, Uber, then you need a dependable car. If you got a bunch of cars and you put it on Turo and the car rental business, then that makes sense, right? You're making money off your vehicles. But just for your self-pleasure, no. It's a waste of money, which basically takes me to my point number 3 that I've seen why men go broke, and that is they don't save for a rainy day, and they never have, and they never will. It's because what happens, gentlemen, is this. So for example, if you looked in the previous video, $1 million, can I quit my job? I explained in there, it's like you have to save for a rainy day. So every time you get paid, if you're commission only or salary, anything like that, you should take 10 to 20% and put aside for emergencies and anything else. And so what happens is that emergency comes up and you're screwed because you don't have the money to fix a tire. Like, so for example, again, right, I told you in the previous video, why I bought my Tesla. I bought my Tesla because it was a business decision. I bought it under my business name so that I could have the write-offs, okay? But you have to understand something, gentlemen. To change a tire on a Tesla, it's like $300, $350 if you get flat. It's not cheap. And so if you don't have the money aside, it's like, how in the hell are you going to change your tire? Because there's no spare tire in a Tesla. There's not one, okay? So that's what I'm talking about, of just being responsible and understanding how money works, right? If you take 10, 20% of your paycheck or your commission and you put it aside every time, you're going to build up a reserve. And when you build up a reserve, you can do things. If your engine breaks down, if you need to replace the radiator, if someone gets sick and you have to go to the emergency room, if they get hurt, if you drop your iPhone and it cracked the screen and you need to get it fixed and it costs $200, it's not something that's going to put you out. You're not going to feel the stress of, God, I got to pay $200 to fix my screen on my iPhone, right? Or my iPhone died. Now I got to go back into, Verizon, Sprint, whatever, T-Mobile, and I got to pay for it because I got to put money down to finance it. Or if you had all the money, you could just pay it in full, either or. But again, it's not going to take away from something else like your electricity bill being paid, or putting food on the table, or gas to get to work, or pay your insurance on your car so that you can drive your car. Or if you have to renew your car registration, it's not going to take away from that. And all these two things come up at the same time. What happens is people jockey back and forth, and they take away from something that absolutely needs to be paid, like your registration, because you can't drive around in the United States of America with expired tags, because then you're going to get a ticket. And sometimes, it depends on the officer. They might let you go, they might tow your car. Now you got your car towed. Now you got to pay all this exorbitant fees to get it taken out of storage. It's a nightmare. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, gentlemen, you have to handle your business, right? And so you have to be responsible financially. And if you're not responsible financially, it's going to come bite you in the backside sooner or later. A situation is going to happen in life where it's going to cause you to have to choose between one or the other. And if you don't have money, guess what? The number one thing you're going to choose is, well, I'm going to put food on the table first. I'm not going to pay that cell phone bill, and it's probably going to get shut off. But I'm not going to starve. I'm not going to starve my children. I'm going to keep the electricity on and not pay for the cable bill. Because, listen, we got to have light, and we got to have heating. We got to have air conditioning if it's burning hot outside. So you see how that affects your life, is that these are things that, these three things that cause men to go broke, is because, one, you're making a decent living, but then you're spending just as much as you're making. Two, you're spending it on dumb stuff that has no value. And then three, you're not even saving. So because you're not saving and you're spending your money on dumb crap, and you're spending all of it just as much as you make or more, because there's overdraft fees, overdraft protection in your checking accounts, now you're screwed. And you dug yourself in a hole where it's so hard to get out of that hole that you're gonna be spending weeks, months, paycheck after paycheck after paycheck. And then people wonder why they're in the rat race of life and they can't get out. It's because this is what happens, gentlemen. I'll give you a prime example. When some of my clients, I first start with them, they had nothing. And then they start to make all this money and they get their clients, and then their companies start to grow. And they start making all this money. And then what they do is, you went from an apartment to a condo to a single family home to a mansion. And each singular time, one costs more than the other. You leveled up, right? The condo, 100K. Single family, 200K. Mansion, 500K. Bigger mansion, 1 million, right? And the monthly payment got bigger. But the income stayed about the same, or as the company grew, that's what they started to do. Well, the problem is that they also picked up more credit card debt. They had kids. They bought multiple cars because the wifey didn't want to go to play dates around the other wives in the neighborhood in a Honda, but she'd rather go in a Land Rover, and you wanted to drive a BMW, right? And then your children grow up, and then they start high school, and you can't have your daughter driving to high school in a hoopty. She won't have it, right? So she drives to school in a Mercedes. Now you have 3 payments. You have a mortgage, right? Oh, by the way, we decided to get a timeshare, right? Pay every month, and also a second property, which we have renters, which that barely covers. But if they don't pay the rent, we still got to pay it. And you see how that adds up, gentlemen? So all that debt adds up. You have all this money, and you're spending just as much. And therefore, you're starting to dig yourself into a hole. And that hole's getting deeper and deeper and deeper as you level up in life. Whereas you could have just maintained that same lifestyle and not got all these things and kept it simple. And all along, you're cruising along, let's say at $5,000 a month in your debt, but you're making 100K, 50K, 20K, and you're stacking that cash away, and you're not buying stupid stuff that has no value, and you're making your money grow for you, and it's growing exponentially. And then when that rainy day comes, you can handle it, no problem, piece of cake, just like that. $500 to replace tires, done. Already had that, right? My daughter needs, to get a violin for school because she joined the band. That violin's $300, $400, $500, great. Plus the lessons, another $200, $700, great. We got it. Okay, this is how it should work, gentlemen. You shouldn't be that person where it's like, oh my God, man, I'm scrambling. This is going to be a nightmare. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I'm going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul, or I'm not going to have to pay for this and have this thing shut off but I got to keep this because I need my phone because I need to do business. That's not how life should be done. So I hope, gentlemen, this helps you a lot. And what I would say is this, right? Like I did in a previous video, do what you love. Find your passion, gentlemen. Find it. And whatever you're passionate about, you can be great at it and you can make a great living. But you have to have a foundation of how you handle money first. You have to understand how money works. You have to understand how the banking system works. You have to understand how to manage money. You have to understand how to get money. You have to understand how to build a business the right way. That's why I did what I did in Complete Man. I did that so that I can help men of all ages learn about their personal credit, their personal financing, their health, wellness, spiritual, mental, physical, and their relationships. Because these 4 areas affect all areas of your life. And if you can get these areas mastered and you can get excellent in these areas, then money is just another tool that's going to help you level up your life faster and be able to do things when you want to, wherever you want to, with whom you want to. And it's such a great feeling because once you get to that point, then you're never in a rush. You're never struggling or so worried about money that you can't sleep, or that you look 10 times your age. You look like, oh my gosh, she's 30. What? She's like 60. What the hell happened? And it's all from stress and worrying. That's what it is. And so I hope this helps you a lot, gentlemen. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe, like button, share. I'm trying to reach 1 million men this year because I really believe men need to lead in a very powerful way. But also, you deserve to have life and live life to the best you can, because I believe that men need to lead. And I also believe that you deserve to live a great life. But if you don't know how to do that, then my course is definitely for you, link down below, because it's going to give you a basic foundation to which you can work from, and then you can level up from there. So I appreciate you all. We'll see you in the next video. And again, at the end here, if you don't know what your passion is, watch the video here now at the end. Do what you love, and you can find your passion, I promise you. And once you do like I do, you can actually make an incredible living and live life on your terms. See you in the next video, chaps. Cheers.